Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your source material, really get into it, and pull out the key insights tailored just for you.
That's right.
Today, we're diving deep into a really critical topic you shared: measurement, analysis, and optimization in Amazon PPC advertising. Specifically, how it connects to this idea of ranking memory.
Yeah, ranking memory. It's like, the algorithm's collective memory of your product's past performance, the good, the bad, all of it.
Okay.
So our mission here is simple. Go through all the material you gave us on measurement, analysis, and optimization. We'll make it easy to follow, but we'll hit every key fact, number, and example, showing you how to, build and manage that ranking memory.
Right, so this is really your guide to understanding the numbers, but more importantly, what they mean for your products, like long-term standing on Amazon.
Exactly.
We'll kick things off with the foundation, the core metrics you have to measure. Then we'll explore how this ranking memory actually affects your ad costs. The tools and techniques for analysis, strategies for balancing, today's sales with building that long-term trust. We even look at specific testing methods, how to tell if memory is helping or hurting.
Which is crucial.
Reporting frameworks, and finally, how you need to adjust your idea of success in this whole system.
It's all about turning that raw data into a real strategic edge. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. Let's start right there at the beginning. Measurement. When we talk ranking memory, what are the absolute core metrics advertisers need to be tracking?
Okay, yeah. Understanding ranking memory. It starts with knowing the signals Amazon's algorithm is actually looking at. Your sources highlight 10 key ones, but let's focus on the real heavy hitters for memory.
Okay.
First step, click-through rate, CTR. Simple definition, clicks divided by impressions. But its importance, huge. A high CTR, think above 0.5%, tells Amazon, hey, this ad is relevant.
Right. People see it, they click it, makes sense.
Exactly. And if you consistently hit, say, 0.8% CTR or higher, that's you signaling you're entering evergreen territory. You're earning trust for sustained visibility, maybe even with lower bids later.
So CTR gets the click because you're relevant. What about after the click?
That's conversion rate, CVR. Sales divided by clicks. And honestly, this might be even more critical for building trust.
Really? More than CTR?
Arguably, yeah. Because a sustained CVR, let's say 12% or higher over 90 days or more, that tells Amazon that shoppers don't just click, they buy. They want your product.
Okay, 12% over 90 days.
Right. And get this. Products with that kind of high CVR history, they recover rankings 2 to 3 times faster if they happen to go out of stock.
Wow, 2 to 3 times faster. That's ranking memory right there in action.
Absolutely. It shows the algorithm remembers they convert well, so you want to aim for a baseline of at least 10% CVR, but hitting that sustained 12%, that's where the deep trust really builds.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. What about, the money side? Profitability.
That brings us to advertising cost of sales. ACOS. Basically, your ad spend divided by your ad revenue times 100. Now, the benchmark for just being profitable is often cited as like 25% or less. But here's the ranking memory angle. Campaigns that leverage strong ranking memory equity, they often achieve much lower ACS, sometimes 15 to 20%.
Why is that? Because they don't have to bid as high.
Partly, yes. Or they get more organic sales because of their rank. So a lowered ACOS isn't just about profit today, it signals efficiency, and that efficiency helps preserve your historical equity when you need to adjust bids later on.
Efficiency building long-term value. Okay. What about just pure sales volume?
Sales velocity, super important, just the number of units you sell per day or week. Your sources actually show that products selling, say, 15 or more units per day, they can get a 15 to 20% boost in their organic rankings.
15 units a day for a 15 to 20% organic boost.
Interesting.
Yeah. And this consistent sales momentum, it compounds that algorithmic trust. Plus, it helps fight off what's called power law decay. Basically, older performance data naturally becomes less influential over time, decaying maybe 8 to 12% weekly. Consistent sales help slow that down.
Keep selling to keep your history relevant. Makes sense.
Exactly. You also need to track your keyword rankings directly. Like, where are you actually showing up for those specific exact match terms people search for, like wireless headphones?
Right.
Getting into the top 3 spots for high-intent keywords, maybe something specific like DDR4 RAM, can give you 35% higher CTRs.
Which then feeds back into better CTR, signaling more relevance.
Yeah.
It's a loop.
It's absolutely a virtuous cycle if you manage it right. And tracking your organic sales percentage is key too. What percentage of your total sales come from non-paid sources?
Okay.
Aiming for 50% or more organic sales is a strong indicator of healthy ranking memory. It shows you're not totally dependent on PPC. And your sources connect this directly to external traffic.
So
Campaigns driving significant traffic from outside Amazon, think TikTok, maybe driving 15% or more attributable clicks, those can trigger massive 2 to 3 times organic boosts, directly lifting that organic sales percentage.
bringing traffic from outside helps your organic rank inside. That's huge.
It is. It's a powerful lever. Then there's something often missed in pure ad strategy. Inventory stability.
You mean like not stocking out?
Exactly. Measured by your stock out frequency. If you stock out more than 5% of the time, your rankings can seriously tank like by 40%.
40%, just
Yeah.
from stocking out too often.
Yeah, it's a massive penalty. And recovering. It requires huge bid spikes after you restock, maybe 200 to 300% higher bids just to get back. So maintaining that stock out frequency at 5% or less is absolutely crucial for preserving the ranking memory you've worked hard to build.
Wow. Okay, inventory management is clearly part of PPC optimization then.
Fundamentally, customer feedback also plays a role. Customer review metrics. Keep that rating at 4.5 stars or higher, ideally, and get consistent new reviews like 4 or more verified reviews per week. You can use Vine or post-purchase emails for this.
Why the reviews?
They signal customer satisfaction, which influences CVR, influences organic rank. It all builds the algorithmic trust. Social proof feeding the machine.
Got it. Any others?
Last 2 quick ones. Impression side. Share what percentage of possible impressions are you actually getting. Boosting this, maybe with sponsored brands or display ads, shows you're consistently visible. Hitting 70% or more suggests strong relevance retention. And return on ad spend, ROAS, just revenue divided by ad spend. Aiming for 4 times ROAS or better reflects healthy leverage of your ranking memory.
Okay, so those are the core metrics. And you mentioned tactics tied to these, like day parting or creative refreshes.
Right, exactly. Things like focusing 60% of your bids during peak hours, say 7 to 9 p.m. local time, using day parting, or updating your ad images and titles every 45 days or so to fight off that 19% CTR fatigue that can creep in. These are actions you take based on the metrics to keep performance high.
Right, okay, so those metrics give us the what. Now let's shift to analysis. How do businesses actually measure the impact ranking memory has on their bottom line, their ad costs?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. Because ranking memory isn't just about visibility, it directly impacts how much you pay for that visibility. Good memory means lower costs, often.
How do you actually put a number on that saving?
Well, you look at ATS again. Products that achieve that Evergreen status, remember, sustain high metrics for 90-plus days. They often see their ACOS naturally fall by 15 to 25%.
Just because of the trust they've built.
Exactly. The algorithm rewards them. You measure this by simply comparing your ACOS trends before you hit those Evergreen thresholds versus after.
Okay, so track AQS over time as memory builds. What else?
Your cost per click, CPC. If you've built up a strong historical CTR, maybe 1% or higher over time, that proven relevance can literally reduce your CPC by 20 to 30%.
20 to 30% lower CPC just for having a good history.
Yeah. Amazon prioritizes ads it knows work. You can even test this. Try pausing bids or reducing them significantly on an evergreen product. You'll often find it retains 60 to 80% of its visibility despite the lower spend. That's a direct cost saving thanks to memory.
Paying less and staying visible, that's the dream, right?
That's the power of ranking memory. Also, keep a close eye on that organic versus paid sales ratio. If you see it shifting, maybe you were at 40% organic sales, now you're hitting 60%, that's ranking memory compounding. You're becoming less reliant on paying for every single sale.
So tracking that ratio shows the memory paying off in free sales.
Precisely. You can use Amazon Brand Analytics to monitor those organic rank improvements alongside your PPC efforts and measure keyword ranking stability. There are tools like Helium 10's Cerebro as mentioned that let you track your exact rank for specific keywords over time. Your sources note that keywords with a really strong 180-day CTR history, maybe 1.2% or higher, they can often hold top 10 positions with bids that are 50% lower than what a new product without that history would need.
50% lower bids, just based on 6 months of good CTR history.
Yeah.
That's a tangible, measurable saving. So how do advertisers actually do this analysis? What are the methods?
You need to connect the past to the present. One way is historical versus current performance correlation. You export, say, 180 days of data, CTR, CVR, sales velocity. Then you use statistical methods like regression analysis to see how those historical metrics correlate with your current CPC or ACOs.
Okay, like finding patterns.
Exactly. The source gives a specific example, finding that a 10% increase in your historical 90-day CVR correlates with a 12% reduction in your current ACOS. That proves the link.
Using data to show cause and effect. I like it.
Another powerful method is event-based analysis. Look at performance around specific events. Stockouts are a perfect example. We mentioned products with good history, low stockout frequency, 31%, recover 85% of their visibility within just 7 days after restocking, compared to maybe 21 days for products with weak history. You track the CPC spikes needed after restocking. High-ranking memory products see much smaller spikes, maybe 20 to 30% smaller increases.
So memory provides resilience, a faster and cheaper recovery.
Exactly right. And you can even use A/B testing to demonstrate the value of history itself. Imagine launching 2 identical products, but magically giving one 90 days of 0.8% CTR history and the other only 0.4%. The one with the better history. It typically achieves 40% lower CPC, even with the exact same bids.
40% lower CPC. Isolating the impact of history in a test. That's compelling. What about specific tools beyond the standard reports that help analyze this cost impact?
Amazon attribution comes up again as crucial. It lets you connect the dots between your off-Amazon marketing, maybe a TikTok campaign, Google Ads, influencer links, and the actual clicks and sales happening on Amazon.
Right, we mentioned the organic boost.
Yes, but here it's about cost impact too. By measuring how those campaigns driving 15% or more attributable clicks generate those 2 to 3 time organic boosts, you can quantify the savings. That boost might be equivalent to, say, $15,000 in PPC spend you didn't have to make. Attribution proves that ROI.
Got it. Proving external traffic saves you ad money directly.
Yes. You also leverage standard seller central reports, of course. The search term report helps identify those high CTR keywords holding rank despite lower bids. Portfolio performance reports let you group campaigns to isolate the cost efficiency of your evergreen products versus newer ones. And third-party platforms are mentioned again, like Sellex A10 Optimizer for forecasting decay or Jungle Scout for competitor analysis.
And you have to account for that historical data decay, right? How does that fit into the analysis?
You absolutely do. Remember, Amazon's algorithm weights recent data more heavily. The last 30 days might have 60% of the weight. Older data decays 8 to 12% weekly, so your analysis needs to factor this in, but your strategy needs to counteract it.
Ow.
By allocating budget smartly. Put maybe 70% of your budget towards campaigns and keywords showing strong recent performance, like CTR above 0.5% in the last 14 days. You're essentially feeding the algorithm the fresh signals it prioritizes, fighting that natural decay.
Focus spend on what's working now to keep the memory fresh.
That's the idea. And you also mitigate external factors. Use dynamic bids down, maybe cutting bids by 50% on keywords that are clearly underperforming to preserve the ranking equity you've built on your better terms. Stay aware of algorithm updates, too, through things like seller forums, and be ready to recalibrate.
Okay, that paints a clear picture of analyzing the cost impact. Now let's broaden the view. What's the full suite of tools and techniques available for analyzing all historical performance trends and then optimizing campaigns, specifically with ranking memory in mind?
Right, so this is moving from just cost analysis to the whole optimization toolkit informed by history. And yeah, sophisticated optimization really relies on deep historical analysis.
Let's talk tools first. Consolidate what we've heard and add anything new.
Okay. Starting with Amazon's native reports and tools, again, the search term report is foundational. Use it to find those high CTR keywords for evergreen status, but also critically for negative keyword pruning. Identifying and removing irrelevant terms that waste clicks can cut wasted spend by 20 to 30%.
Pruning the weeds.
Exactly, the performance over time report. Analyze this to see how your bid changes directly correlate with visibility retention over weeks or months, confirming that 60 to 80% visibility hold for evergreen products when you ease off bids. And the placement report tells you where your ads work best, top of search, product pages, etc. Use that data to justify allocating higher bids, maybe 200 to 300% boosts, to those high-performing placements, especially during peak hours like 7 to 9 p.m. local.
Using Amazon's own data to guide where and when you spend.
Yes. Amazon Brand Analytics is another core native tool. Think of it as your unified performance dashboard. It pulls metrics across different campaign types, sponsored products, brands, display, often down to the ASN level. This is where you track those organic rank improvements driven by PPC, see total ad source sales, and get cross-campaign CTR, CVR insights. It also plays a role in leveraging first-party data, as mentioned in other sections.
Bringing all the pieces together. And Amazon attribution.
Yeah.
Still critical here.
Absolutely essential for this broader optimization view. It's the bridge to your off-Amazon efforts. By linking social media campaigns, influencer posts, Google ads back to Amazon sales and clicks, you measure and optimize for those campaigns driving 15% or more attributable clicks. You know, those campaigns trigger the 2 to 3 times organic boost, equivalent to maybe $15,000 in PPC spend value, so you optimize towards that external traffic goal. It's also key for balancing history with real-time intent during market shifts.
Right. Valuing external traffic not just for sales, but for its memory-building power. What about the advertising API?
Good point. The advertising API allows for more custom solutions. You can pull consolidated ASIN reports across all campaigns and even set ASIN-level performance goals, like a target ACOS of 15% or less, that can then automatically adjust bids via software. It enables more sophisticated programmatic control.
Okay, moving beyond native tools. What about more advanced analytics?
This is where things get powerful. Platforms like AWS Forecast or similar time series models, these can predict future sales velocity or CTR with pretty high accuracy, like 92% over a 30-day window. This forecasting informs bid strategies designed to maintain ranking equity proactively.
Using machine learning to look ahead.
Exactly. And tools like SageMaker AutoML or similar ML services can automate the process of finding historical patterns that influence ad rank. They can detect those decay rates 8 to 12% weekly and flag significant deviations, maybe more than 2 standard deviations from the norm that signal you need to refresh creative or investigate data issues.
AI spotting problems automatically.
Yes. You can also use custom SQL and data warehousing. Think tools like Weld.app templates are mentioned. These let you aggregate long-term data, maybe 180 days or more, to rigorously quantify which products meet Evergreen criteria or isolate keywords getting significant boosts from external traffic, that 15% attributable click threshold.
For deep custom analysis.
Right. And dashboard visualization tools like Databox PPC dashboards are crucial for making sense of all this data. Visualizing trends over 90 days for CTR, CVR, ACOS, keeping it under 25%, sales velocity, aiming for 15-plus units day, impression share, targeting 70% plus. This helps you see decay happening and act preemptively.
Seeing the trends to stay ahead. And we mentioned regression analysis and event-based analysis before for cost impact.
Yes, those statistical methods are part of this broader analysis toolkit too, correlating historical CVR with current ACS reductions, or analyzing recovery times after stockouts based on historical strength.
Okay, that covers the analysis tools and techniques. How does this deep analysis translate directly into optimization actions?
This is where the rubber meets the road. A/B testing is fundamental. Continuously comparing variants, creatives, copy, bids to maximize CTR and CVR. This is essential for those creative refresh cycles. Updating images and titles every 21 to 45 days is critical to combat ad fatigue, which can cause a 19% or more drop in CTR over 60 days. Testing video versus static is huge here too, as videos often achieve 19 to 22% higher CTR and CVR.
Constant testing and refreshing.
Yes. Search term harvesting from search query reports, done weekly. You're looking for high potential terms to promote, but just as importantly, finding underperformers, maybe CTR below 0.3%, CVR below 5%, to prune via negative keyword management. Eliminating that irrelevant spend can save 20 to 30% of your budget. Using negative exact match prevents you from blocking relevant variations or cannibalizing your own terms.
Cut the waste, double down on winners.
Portfolio automation helps scale this. Grouping campaigns allows you to set rules, maybe automatically shifting budget from campaigns with ACS over 25% to those performing better, or propagating winning keywords and negative keywords across related products. Tools like Selix A10 Optimizer are mentioned, claiming to reduce ACS by 35% through automated bid balancing and forecasting. Another tool, their cross-campaign harmonizer, claims a 22% ACOS reduction.
Using automation to manage complexity.
Dynamic bids and bid adjustments are key actions driven by analysis. Using those placement multipliers 300 to 500% for top of search if data supports it, or day parting with 50 to 75% higher bids during peak 7-9 p.m. local hours. These aggressive adjustments can force CTR above critical thresholds or capitalize on high conversion windows. Day parting can even help reset decay curves.
Yeah.
And remember, gradualism. Gradual bid reductions, 10 to 20% weekly on proven terms, maintain trust better than sudden stops. Dynamic bids down, minus 50% on weak keywords, preserves equity. Automated strategies can even adjust bids based on real-time CVR or stock levels, like the DQN model Amazon itself uses.
Smart, data-driven bidding.
And absolutely critical, inventory management tools like Restock Pro. Forecasting demand with 95% accuracy helps maintain those crucial low stockout rates under 5%. This preserves 92% of your ranking momentum and avoids that devastating 40% ranking decay penalty. If a stockout does happen, replenishing within 72 hours can actually have the penalty. Always aim for 120 to 150% inventory buffers.
Inventory is intrinsically linked to ad optimization.
Got it.
It really is.
Dynamic repricing tools also play a role. Tools like Seller Republic adjust prices automatically to stay within 10% of competitors. This avoids the algorithmic distrust caused by abrupt price changes. Remember, price hikes over 10% can slash CVR by 25%.
Price stability matters for trust, too.
And external traffic strategies are a major optimization action. Allocating 20 to 30% of your budget to trackable off-Amazon channels, TikTok shoppable posts with that high 58.6% CVR, Instagram influencer links using Amazon attribution, this amplifies traffic that yields 2 to 3 times organic boosts, resets decay curves, and accelerates evergreen status. Nano-influencers, 10 to 50,000 followers, are highlighted for delivering 3 times higher CVR sometimes. Using urgency triggers and emails to subscribers directing them to listings can also reset decay curves.
Actively driving external traffic as an optimization tactic.
A core one. Content optimization is ongoing. Using A+ content, integrating video gets 19 to 22% higher CTR CVR, and refreshing images titles every 21 to 45 days to combat creative fatigue. In fast decay categories like electronics, that refresh might need to be every 21 days.
Keeping the listing itself optimized.
Yes. ASIN management comes into play too. Sometimes creating a new ASIN for a major product update can bypass historical penalties. Using unified ASIN budgeting within portfolios, maybe 70% of portfolios, helps manage spend.
Yeah.
And competitively, bidding 110 to 120% of competitor CPCs on their top keywords, identified using tools like Cerebro, is a tactic mentioned.
Strategic ASIN creation and competitive bidding.
And underpinning everything is seller account health management. Proactively monitoring with tools to keep order defect rate, ODR, under 1%, avoids 20 to 30% visibility loss, and account health rating, AHR, above 750, gains 15 to 20% boosts. Sustained performance, ODR, below 0.5%, AHR over 800 can even yield 25 to 30% lower CPCs. And if things go wrong, recovery restoring 80 to 90% visibility is possible within about 30 days.
Account health is performance optimization.
It truly is. Review management is part of this, getting 4 or more verified reviews per week via Vine, which can get you 10 to 15 reviews pre-launch in 4 to 6 weeks, or emails improves rankings significantly, 1.8 times in competitive niches, and offsets negatives. ASIN history can help accelerate this.
Positive reviews reinforce positive memory.
Exactly. You also need to adapt to device-specific signals, optimize bids, creative, retargeting differently for mobile versus desktop, considering factors like higher mobile CTR multipliers or peak mobile usage hours, 7 to 9 p.m. local, and adapt to category variations. Electronics might have 12% weekly decay, needing faster refreshes every 21 days, and aggressive PPC bursts, while home and kitchen might decay slower, 5%, and favor longer-term evergreen strategies.
Tailoring strategy to the specific context.
Yes. And adapting to market conditions, building momentum 45 days before Q4, reducing bids by 50% postseason, adjusting for economic shifts, competitor actions, algorithm updates. It's constant adaptation.
Sounds like you can never rest.
Pretty much. You also need plans for handling anomalies. Using tools like SLIDR or PPC Guard to detect and mitigate irregular CTR spikes over 300%, which Amazon flags within 48 hours and can lead to audits or freezes. Pausing campaigns with very high bounce rates, over 50%, protects your CVR history. And finally, just maintaining ethical compliant practices. Adhering to policies, avoiding shady tactics like click farms. This preserves trust and avoids penalties. New entrants face hurdles 40 to 70% higher CPCs due to lack of history requiring smart ethical strategies to compete.
Wow. That's an incredibly comprehensive list of tools and optimization techniques, connecting everything from AWS AI down to basic account health and ethics. We definitely covered the key actions mentioned across your sources.
It's been a lot to manage, but those are the levers you can pull.
So with all these tools and complex techniques, the big strategic question arises. How do advertisers effectively balance the need for short-term performance getting sales today with the crucial goal of building that long-term ranking memory for tomorrow?
Ugh, the million-dollar question. And the answer is, it's not an either. It's a constant balancing act. You need both.
How do you structure campaigns to achieve both?
You need a campaign architecture for dual objectives. Think of it in two streams. First, the short-term focus. Harvesting demand. This is where you're aggressive. Use sponsored products with high bids, like 300 to 500% boosts for top search placements, especially during peak hours like 7 to 9 p.m. local time. You're trying to capture those high-intent shoppers who are ready to buy right now. Running deal campaigns with 10 to 15% discounts also fits here, driving immediate sales velocity spikes. Using day parting to focus 60 to 70% of your daily budget on high conversion windows is key.
Go hard for the immediate sale. Got it.
But at the same time, you have the long-term focus. Building equity. This is about cultivating that algorithmic trust. Use sponsored brands campaigns, maybe with lifestyle imagery or video, to build brand affinity and reinforce organic relevance over time. Dedicate a specific part of your budget, maybe 20 to 30%, to auto-targeting campaigns with the explicit goal of discovering new keywords that have the potential to become evergreen, showing high CTR and CVR potential. And tactics like ASIN defense, bidding maybe 110 to 120% of competitors' CPCs on their best keywords, protect your earned relevance.
So distinct campaign types, distinct goals running concurrently. How does this affect how you manage bids and budgets overall?
It means balancing aggression with preservation. Yes, aggressive bidding drives immediate metrics, but it's risky if performance dips, and it can be expensive, so you temper it. When reducing bids on proven performers, use gradual reductions 10 to 20% weekly rather than sudden pauses. This preserves 60 to 80% of visibility and maintains algorithmic trust. Diversifying your spend across different campaign types and products also reduces volatility and builds resilience.
Right. Avoid shocking the system. Treat the algorithm gently.
Kind of, yeah. And those operational pillars are crucial for this balance. Content and inventory optimization. Regularly refreshing creatives every 45 days fights fatigue. Using A+ content with video provides that 15 to 20% CVR lift. And maintaining those FBA inventory buffers 120 to 150% prevents those catastrophic stockout penalties that erase progress. Using predictive restocking tools with 95% accuracy helps achieve this.
Operational excellence enabling strategic balance.
And again, external traffic integration is a massive accelerator for the long-term equity side. Driving 15% or more attributable clicks from off-Amazon sources, TikTok, Instagram, shoppable posts, generates that 2 to 3 times organic boost equivalent to saving $15,000 in ad spend, accelerating your path to evergreen status, and reducing future ad dependency. Influencer partnerships, especially with nano-influencers yielding 3 times CVR, fit here too.
So external traffic helps bridge the short-term cost with long-term gain.
It really does. And central to this balancing act is understanding the metric thresholds that signal success for both timeframes. Your sources lay these out clearly. Short-term goals might be hitting CTR above 0.5%, CVR above 10%, and sales velocity of 15 units per day.
Okay, initial targets.
But the long-term evergreen status requires more. CTR consistently above 0.8%, CVR consistently above 12%, both sustained for 90 days or more, and sales velocity may be hitting 30 units per day with minimal stockouts under 5%. Achieving these evergreen thresholds is what unlocks that ability to retain 60 to 80% visibility even when you pull back on bids.
Those evergreen thresholds are the benchmark for having built Real, durable trust.
Exactly. And your source material even provides a helpful strategic outcomes timeline as a kind of roadmap.
Oh, yeah. What does that look like?
In the first 30 days, the focus is hitting those initial thresholds, CTR 0.5%, CVR at 10%, and starting to integrate external traffic, aiming for maybe 15% attributable clicks. By 90 days, the goal shifts to achieving that evergreen status and getting your ACOS down to 25% or less. And by 180 days, you're aiming for a significant shift, 50 to 60% of your sales coming organically, indicating reduced dependency on PPC bids.
That's a really clear progression, 30, 90, 180 days. Okay, that makes a lot of sense for balancing those goals.
It provides a framework for that continuous balancing act.
Now, part of optimization is testing. But you mentioned standard A/B testing might not be ideal here. What testing methodologies do work best when you have to consider ranking memory?
Right. Traditional A/B testing, where you split traffic 50-50 for a fixed period, it can be inefficient and potentially harmful in this context. You risk sending half your traffic to an underperforming variant for too long, which can drag down your overall CTR and CVR, damaging the very ranking memory signals you're trying to build.
Okay, so what's the alternative?
One powerful approach mentioned is multi-armed bandit, MAB testing. It's smarter. Instead of a fixed split, MEB algorithms dynamically allocate more traffic to the variants that are performing better, faster.
So the winner gets more exposure sooner.
Exactly. It uses algorithms like Thompson sampling to explore and exploit. This minimizes wasted spend on poor performers, potentially cutting waste by 30 to 50% compared to static A/B tests. And crucially, it helps preserve those vital CTR-CVR thresholds needed for ranking memory. It offers high preservation, maybe 85 to 90%. You might, for example, allocate 70% traffic to proven top keywords while using 30% for exploratory MA tests.
Smart testing that protects your metrics. Makes sense. What else?
There's phased sequential testing. This provides more structure, moving through stages. First, an ignition phase, maybe days 1 to 7. You test 5 to 10 variants aggressively, maybe with 300 to 500% bid boosts on specific exact match keywords. The goal is rapid identification of variants hitting that initial CTR threshold, like 0.5%.
Find the potential winners quickly.
Then, a validation phase, maybe days 8 to 14. You reduce bids by 20 to 30% on the winners from phase 1, confirming they still perform, and you prune the variants that clearly failed, like CTR below 0.3%.
Weed out the losers, confirm the winners.
Finally, a lock-in phase, day 15 onwards. The top performers are migrated into your main Evergreen campaigns, aiming to sustain 60 to 80% visibility even after the intense testing phase. This method offers good ranking memory preservation too, around 70 to 80%.
A structured, multi-stage approach. Interesting. Any other methods?
Yes, incrementality-focused testing. This is less about comparing variance A versus B and more about figuring out where your ads are adding the most incremental value sales you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
How do you test for that?
You target specific scenarios. Maybe keywords where you have a low organic rank, say below position 20, but where ads dominate the clicks, like 70% plus clicks go to the top 3 ad slots. Or you test terms where Amazon attribution data proves that ads are driving 15% or more purely attributable sales directly linked to an ad click with no prior organic interaction. This focuses spend where it truly grows the pie, offering very high memory preservation, 90 to 95%, because you're boosting overall velocity.
Testing for true growth, not just shifting clicks. Clever.
And we have to mention creative refresh cycles again, because it is a form of ongoing testing. Regularly A/B testing new images, new headlines, new video cuts every 21 to 45 days isn't just maintenance. It's how you find the creatives that combat fatigue, that 19% decay, and maintain peak performance. Testing video versus static is a constant test, with video often winning 19% higher CTR. Tracking metrics like time in view, aiming for 15 seconds plus, or scroll depth helps validate creative effectiveness.
So constant creative testing is part of the methodology.
Absolutely. And the sources also point towards predictive analytics integration for AI-driven testing, using advanced tools, maybe like Braze AI Predictive Suite to forecast likelihood to purchase, or Dynamic Creative Optimization Plus, a DCO Plus, platforms that can automatically generate and test thousands of ad variants per hour based on performance data.
Wow, testing at massive scale.
Yeah, the potential outcome cited is significant ACOS reduction, maybe 25%, while crucially maintaining the CTR and CVR thresholds needed to protect ranking memory.
Using AI to optimize creatives and bids constantly.
Okay.
and safeguards during testing.
Critical. Always use ethical and operational safeguards. Monitor for click fraud using tools like SLIDR, Amazon's bot detection, which flags those suspicious CTR spikes over 300% that can trigger freezes. Pause campaigns if bounce rates get excessively high, over 50%, as that kills your CVR. And as always, maintain inventory. Keep stockouts under 5% to avoid that 40% ranking penalty that can just wipe out your testing gains.
Protect the integrity of the test and the account.
It's fundamental. Your source material includes a neat summary table comparing these methodologies, their typical impact on CTR/CVR, and the estimated ranking memory preservation percentage for each.
That's a great set of testing options designed for this dynamic environment. Okay, so advertisers are measuring, analyzing, optimizing, testing. But how do they know if all this effort focused on ranking memory is actually working? How do you tell if ranking memory is helping versus maybe even hurting you?
That's a really important diagnostic question. Because, yeah, ranking memory isn't always good. A bad history can be a real anchor. But when it's working for you, the signs are usually quite clear.
Let's start positive. What are the signs ranking memory is helping?
The number one sign is Evergreen status sustains visibility. And keep coming back to this. If your product consistently meets those high thresholds, CTR above 0.8%, CVR above 12%, for 90-plus days, and you see it retaining 60 to 80% of its visibility, even when you reduce bids or face temporary inventory gaps. That's memory helping. It leads to tangible benefits, like 20 to 25% lower CPC dependency over time. Tools like Helium 10 Cerebro can help track keyword rankings during these bid adjustments to confirm it.
Staying strong even when you pull back spend. Clear sign. What else?
Organic sales growth post-PPC. If you're seeing your organic sales consistently climb and become a larger share of total revenue aiming for 50% or more, it shows your PPC isn't just buying sales, it's successfully building your organic rank via sales velocity. Remember that stat. Every $1,000 in PPC sales boosting organic rank by 15 to 20%. Amazon Brand Analytics is where you track this positive trend.
Paid efforts leading to more free sales. The virtuous cycle again.
Exactly. External traffic synergy is another huge positive sign. If you're running campaigns off Amazon using attribution and seeing that driving 15% or more attributable clicks is consistently triggering those 2 to 3 times organic ranking boosts, that $15,000 equivalent value, ranking memory is amplifying those external efforts powerfully.
External traffic acting like rocket fuel for your rank because memory captures the benefit.
Precisely. And finally, seeing inventory stability buffers work as intended. If you do have a stock out, but you've maintained low frequency, under 5%, and your product bounces back quickly, recovering 92% of its ranking momentum within just 7 days. That's ranking memory providing resilience. Compare that to the 21 days it might take a low history product.
Memory acting as a shock absorber during operational hiccups. Okay, those are strong positive indicators. What about the flip side? When is ranking memory actually hurting performance?
This usually happens when negative signals, either poor historical data or recent downturns, start to outweigh the positives in the algorithm's eyes. One key sign is decay-driven visibility drops. Remember that power law decay? 8 to 12% weekly erosion of older data, with the last 30 days having 60% weight. So even if a product was a star 6 months ago, if its recent performance tanks, maybe CTR drops below 0.3%, that decay mechanism means the algorithm focuses on the recent bad news. This can lead to significant CPC inflation, 30 to 50% higher bids needed, because the positive history has faded in importance. Decay forecasting tools help diagnose this.
So you absolutely cannot rest on your laurels. Past glory fades fast.
Very fast. Fraud flags and anomalies are another major negative sign. If Amazon systems like SLIDR detect highly irregular activity, those CTR spikes over 300% flagged within 48 hours, it signals unreliability. This triggers audits, erodes algorithmic trust, and can even lead to campaigns being frozen. Similarly, very high bounce rates, over 50% on your ads, signal poor user experience post-click, hurting your CVR and damaging that memory signal.
Suspicious activity or poor engagement actively damages trust.
It does. Over-reliance on PPC is another warning sign. If more than 70% of your total revenue is coming from paid ads, it suggests you haven't built strong organic equity. The risk. If you pause those ads, products where over half the sales were ad-dependent can see their organic rank plummet by 40 to 60%. The algorithm simply didn't trust them organically to begin with.
If paid spend isn't translating to organic growth, your history isn't building value.
Exactly. And direct negative customer experiences, reflected in metrics like order defect rate, ODR, climbing above 1%. That actively suppresses rankings by 20 to 30%. It's a clear signal that negative historical data points related to customer satisfaction are hurting you. Importing reviews via Vine after an ownership change is mentioned as a way to mitigate inherited negative feedback.
Customer service issues dragging down ad performance.
Directly. Also, poor initial performance creates a negative legacy. If a campaign launches badly, maybe CTR below 0.3%, CVR below 5%, that poor starting history can lead to 30 to 50% fewer impressions and 20 to 25% higher CPCs down the road. It takes significantly more investment, maybe 2 to 3 times, to overcome that bad start.
The first impression really sticks with the algorithm.
It really does. And finally, broader account health issues ODR over 1% leading to 20 to 30% lower visibility, or low account health rating, AHR below 250 risking suspension. These signal systemic algorithmic distrust that impacts everything.
Okay, so helping signs are sustained visibility, organic growth, external synergy, resilience. Hurting signs are decay penalties, fraud flags, PPC over-reliance, negative CX, poor initial history, and account health problems. Your sources provide a diagnostic table summarizing these.
Yes, laying out the factor, the positive signal, and the negative signal side by side. It's a useful framework.
And based on these signs, you'd make adjustments, like
Right. If you see negative signs dominating, you might strategically increase external traffic spend to 20 or 30% of budget, hoping to reset decay curves. You double down on creative refreshes, maybe every 45 days max, to combat fatigue. Or you might use very careful, gradual bid adjustments only on the keywords that still show some promise, trying to preserve whatever equity remains.
actively diagnosing and reacting. Got it. Okay, final stretch. Let's tie it all together. What reporting and analysis frameworks help advertisers track these ranking memory effects systematically over time? And crucially, how should they adjust their success metrics when the focus is on developing this memory?
Yeah, putting it all into practice requires systematic tracking and, importantly, a shift in mindset about what success looks like.
What frameworks help with the tracking?
The Amazon Advertising Console reports are the bedrock. You're constantly monitoring the search term report to track keyword performance trends over time, identifying terms hitting those sustained high CTRs for Evergreen status, looking at 30 and 90-day trends. The Performance Over Time report is used to analyze daily, weekly data, correlating your bid adjustments with actual visibility retention, confirming that 60 to 80% hold for Evergreen products. And the placement report evaluates performance across different ad spots over time, guiding those strategic bid boosts for top placements during peak hours.
Using the native tools for ongoing trend analysis.
Then you layer on the advanced analytics platforms. Using MLAI tools like AWS Forecast or SageMaker to predict future performance, identify deeper historical patterns, explicitly detect those 8 to 12% weekly decay rates, and flag anomalies that need attention.
The predictive layer.
Custom SQL and data warehousing solutions allow for aggregating data over much longer periods, like 180 days plus, to rigorously quantify evergreen eligibility or pinpoint exactly which keywords benefited most from external traffic campaigns, hitting that 15% click threshold and triggering the 2 to 3 times organic boosts.
For really deep historical dives.
And dashboard visualization tools make this manageable. Seeing trends for ACOS, sales velocity, impression share over time helps you anticipate and react to decay proactively. Keyword rank tracking tools from platforms like Jungle Scout or Helium 10 are often integrated here too.
Visualizing the key trends to stay informed.
Frameworks for tracking external traffic integration are vital too. This means combining Amazon attribution data with data from your off-Amazon platforms, TikTok, Instagram analytics, etc., to continuously measure and optimize for that 15% off Amazon click threshold that resets decay and provides those algorithmic multipliers.
Closing the loop between off-Amazon spend and on-Amazon rank memory.
Exactly. And good frameworks also incorporate tracking for ethical and operational safeguards, monitoring fraud signals via SLIDR reports, ensuring inventory tools like Restock Pro are keeping stockouts below 5% to prevent those rank drops.
Compliance and operations as tracked metrics.
They have to be. The overall process becomes a strategic workflow. Consistent data collection, pulling 30-90-day reports, predictive analysis using AWS SageMaker, data-driven optimization, refreshing creatives every 45 days, reallocating budgets, and ongoing validation, confirming visibility, retention, organic growth.
A continuous cycle of measure, analyze, optimize, validate. Okay, that covers the tracking frameworks. Now, how does this change how you define success? How do metrics need to be adjusted for ranking memory?
This is a crucial mindset shift. You move away from focusing purely on achieving the lowest possible ACOS today. The goal becomes building long-term equity.
What does that mean in practice?
It means you might consciously accept a higher ACOS, maybe 30 to 40%, during a product launch phase. Why? To aggressively build those critical early performance metrics, CTR, CVR, or sales velocity that seed positive ranking memory. Then, once Evergreen status is achieved, you optimize for efficiency, aiming for that lower 15 to 20% ACOS on those mature campaigns.
So ACS goals change over the product lifecycle.
Exactly. And you look beyond campaign ACS to total ACOS, TACOs, your total ad spend divided by your total sales, paid plus organic. Aiming for a low TACOs, maybe 10% or less, reflects true overall health where ads are effectively lifting organic sales. You also explicitly value external traffic, allocating maybe 20 to 30% of budgets there, knowing it drives that 2 to 3 times organic boost and builds long-term equity.
Shifting focus to total business impact, not just ad efficiency.
Yes. You prioritize metrics influencing ranking memory in your definition of success. High sustained CTR, aiming for a 0.8% evergreen. High CVR, benchmark 12%. Strong sales velocity, knowing 1K PPC yields 15-20% organic lift. And actively avoiding stockouts. 5% triggers 40% decay. Success means consistently hitting these algorithmic trust signals using tactics like creative refreshes every 45 days and A+ video, 15-20% CVR lift to achieve them.
Success is defined by the metrics the algorithm cares about for trust.
Precisely. And you must include algorithmic trust-building metrics related to operations and customer experience directly into your success framework. Things like inventory health, targeting IPIO 500, maintaining 120-150% stock buffers, and order defect rate, keeping at 1%. These aren't just operational issues. They are core inputs to ranking memory and therefore strategic success metrics.
Operational health, strategic success.
Got it. External traffic integration itself becomes a success metric. Are you consistently hitting that 15% off Amazon click contribution? Can you correlate it with lower CPC? Like a 25% reduction over 90 days noted in sources, and organic rank improvements. Success means making that connection work. And you adjust based on predictive analytics for decay. Success isn't just current performance, but successfully counteracting that predicted 8 to 12% weekly decay using forecasts, like from AWS with 92% accuracy. Maintaining Evergreen status for 180 plus days, which allows retaining 85% visibility post-stockout versus only 67% for new listings, becomes a key long-term success indicator.
Using predictions to manage long-term success proactively.
And finally, ethical safeguards are foundational to success. Avoiding fraud signals, like 300% CTR spikes, and ensuring creative compliance isn't just about avoiding penalties, it's about maintaining the long-term algorithmic trust that is ranking memory.
So success evolves from short-term ACOs to long-term algorithmic equity, built on performance, operations, external traffic, and trust. Your sources probably have a table summarizing these adjusted metrics too.
Yes, laying out the short-term focus versus the long-term focus targets for the key metrics we've discussed. It really clarifies the shift.
That ties it all together perfectly. It shows how all these pieces, measurement, analysis, optimization, testing, reporting, connect to this central goal of building durable ranking memory.
It absolutely does.
This deep dive really highlights how mastering measurement, analysis, and optimization isn't just about running ads. It's about actively cultivating your product's reputation within Amazon's algorithm.
That's a great way to put it. It's about transforming that potentially transient ad spend into enduring visibility and genuine cost efficiency. And outcomes we discussed are tangible, driving more sales, yes, but also significantly reducing costs on established products, sustaining rank through challenges like stockouts, competing more effectively, and achieving major milestones like getting over half your sales organically.
It's building real defensible value in the marketplace.
Exactly right.
So here's a final thought for you to consider. Given this constant dynamic, the decay of historical data, the rising importance of real-time signals, the proven impact of external traffic, how will advertisers need to continuously redefine what long-term performance even means and evolve the methods they use to measure it going forward?
That is the ongoing challenge, isn't it? Adapting to an ever-evolving algorithmic landscape.
Definitely something to mull over. This has been The Deep Dive.